Hi everyone and welcome for this tutorial how to paint a NightLord Space Marine. So you are going to see this tutorial is a little bit special because I give some painting class on Discord, and this is a resume of this class with Cyril. Thanks again to Cyril, that was a very good experience. So if you are interested by some painting class on Discord, don't hesitate to contact me. You are going to see I'm thinking about an army tests miniatures, so I need to find something very simple but pretty nice to see on the battlefield. For that I'm going to prime everything in Chaos Black from Games Workshop, and after that I'm going to push all my highlights on the armor. The Mercurage blue at beginning, I'm going to push this Mercurage blue on all of the blue part of the armor, and I'm going to push a second layer of this blue on the up part of the armor. This layer is a little bit diluted, so you have some consistency like milk. You can see under the layer the black color. Now with some Techless blue I come back, and on smaller and smaller surfaces I'm going to push this highlight everywhere. As you can see, I continue to use the same kind of dilution, so consistency like milk, and I push only on something like 20% of all the surfaces to create my transition. Remember to push always in the same direction, the direction you want to have the more light. Now I'm going to push my Auric Armor Gold on every small surfaces of the armor. Remember that by using some black primer, it's pretty interesting because a lot of lining is already down, and these miniatures will be a reference for all one army. So we need to find something simple and quick to do. Now I'm going to come back with some Techless blue mixing with white, and I'm going to push some highlights just a little bit on all the armor, and pushing and making all the flash on every shoulder and every part of armor. Now, as you can see, I focus and I make this kind of freehand only on the part people are going to see more. So now with some Gulliman flesh I'm going to push that on all the metallic part. I use this because it's going to create a shadow on all these metallic parts, and after that I just have to come back with some Auric Gold to push a little bit highlight on this part. And after that I'm going to make a second layer of Auric Gold, always on a smaller surfaces, to create my contrast and to create my highlight on the miniatures. This metallic part is pretty long to do just because it's very thin and complicated, but it's very important to make it more clean you can. And for that you can see I just use some few and small steps, but remember that you always can stop. For example, you don't need necessarily to make this step. For example, the Canoptech alloy I push only on some point of light, and that's all. If you want a very more quick result, you always can remove the last part of my step, so you can have something more quick to have a result pretty good too. As you can see, every of these parts of the armor part is done right now, so I can continue with some Mephiston red. I push on some few parts of the miniatures. Sorry about the video because I have some technical trouble, but as you can see, I try to show you the big step, but you can see all the step and you can make it easily. As you can see on the part red part, I use essentially some orange and mixing between white and orange, and now on the clothes I'm going to use some barbarian flesh to create something like a tanned flesh effect on all the clothes. I push tanned flesh first, and after that you are going to see, to create my transition more easily, I'm going to mix some barbarian flesh and my Mephisto red to create my transition between the two different colors. So once again I use the side of my brush to push my color in the right direction. Don't hesitate to ask if you have any question in the comments. You can always come on my Facebook and Instagram to ask your question too. And now, just with some few barbarian flesh, I'm going to push again my highlight. I will finish at the end for that just with some point of white, just to push once again my highlight. And once again you can remove this step if you think it's a little bit too long for your army. It's always a good thing to have a reference paint when you start an army, because you can more easily manage your time, and that's a very important point. Now I come back with some flat earth color from Prince August. It's a brown color, and I'm going to make the horn and the different leather part with that. That will be more easy to use the same kind of color and different elements. Now with some, I had just a little bit white into my flat earth, just to push more and more my highlights. If you have any suggestion, any idea for the next tutorial, don't hesitate to ask. I will try to do that. A lot of time I give the opportunity to my boss on Patreon to give me one subject every month, so don't hesitate to subscribe to my Patreon to have more influence into my painting tutorial. Now with some Canaptec alloy I'm going to push every edges with the color, and after that with the side of my brush I'm going to push my color in the different direction. When I do my true metal painting, I use a lot the same way that I do my non-metallic metal. So the highlight part is going to be in metal, and the more shadow part will be more in classical color. Now I'm going to do a quick base just by using some pigment. At the beginning some rust pigment I push, and after that when it's totally dry I'm going to come back with a Q-tip to remove a lot of my pigment from the edges and from all the different elements, to be sure that pigment is going to stay a lot into the recesses. After that I'm going to come back with some orange pigment and pushing into the recesses again, but always on a smaller and smaller surfaces. And once again, after I put this orange, I'm going to remove a lot with my Q-tip just to have the effect I want. And that will be all for that miniatures. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks again to Cyril, my boss on Patreon, who asked for me for this tutorial, and we do that directly during a painting class on Discord. If you are interested, just contact me. You can always subscribe to my channel and like, come on Facebook and Instagram to see all the miniatures I paint, and if you want you can become my Patreon and have access to a private group on Facebook to share me your work, and I will come back to you to make you some feedback. Thank you again to everyone and see you soon for the next tutorial. Bye bye.